everybody. Today I'm going to show you how we make our rose jelly, which is our foaming facial wash. We obviously normally do this in my lab, but it's really difficult to film in there, so the light and everything's a problem, so we just recreated it like a cooking program in the studio for you. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to go through all the steps, I'm going to tell you all the ingredients that we use and show you how I make it, and yeah, I hope you'll enjoy it. So the first thing that we need, so obviously everything is sterilized, everything is sterile. The first thing that I need to do is I'm going to add my water. We use distilled water to this jug, and I add my hydrogenated castor oil, which is basically an oil that is emulsified so that it dissolves in the water and doesn't float on the top. So what I'm going to do is I need to heat this up in the microwave a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add some of the water, and then I'm going to add the hydrogenated castor oil into it, and then I'm going to go and put it in the microwave, and I'm going to melt it, which I will go and do in the lab off camera, because it's quite thick. You can see it's a very thick gloopy substance. I can leave it just to dissolve on its own in the water, but it takes a while, and obviously we don't have time for that. So we are just going to go and do that quickly off camera, and then we'll come back and do the next step. Okay, so now I've melted all the castor oil, the hydrogenated castor oil, in the warm-ish water. It's not too hot. You should just check for interest's sake, because it always has a specific melting point, and I just kind of figure it out myself. So it's about 45 degrees, so that's done, sorted. Now I'm going to add the rest of the water to this. So this is my whole water portion. Please excuse these hideous gloves. I don't have large surgical gloves, and I really struggle with the medium ones. So I do normally squeeze and put them on, but they just look so ridiculous on my fingers. I don't really want to have to shoot with them on, so I'm just using these. So that is the water being added all in with the hydrogenated castor oil. So I'm just going to give it a bit of a stir so that I make sure that it's all mixed in with the warmed part that we melted the things inside of. And then we're going to move on to the next step. Okay, we're going to add, this is hydrolyzed wheat protein, because we don't use silk protein, because obviously we're vegan and cruelty free. So it's like a brownie color. Protein is just really nice. It adds like a nice skin feel to the product, and it just makes it feel nice and sort of like softish, and it also has some good skin properties as well. I'm just going to stir it in. You can see it's got like a slightly brownish color. Then I'm going to add the glycerine in. Now glycerine is a humectant, and what the glycerine does is it actually, being a humectant, it means that it pulls moisture to the skin. Now obviously this isn't a leave-on product, so you don't need it so much for that, but glycerine just really adds an amazing smoothness, silkiness to the texture of both the on your skin and the actual product as well. So I use glycerine in a lot of my products. We either use glycerine or sodium lactate, because they are both draw water to the skin, and they add a lot of benefits to your product. Okay, so we've stirred in the glycerine. Then I'm going to add the surfactants. Now surfactants are the foaming ingredient. It is what basically does the cleaning. Surfactants are made of, I'm just going to stir it together. I use two surfactants. The one is cocoa mipridol betaine. The other one is unpronounceable. I really don't know how to pronounce it. We use two because you actually need the perfect mix of surfactants so that you have enough foam and enough cleansing abilities, but you also have the gentleness of the surfactant. So there's lots and lots to choose from. Obviously ours are sulfate free, but these are the two that I've chosen that I like to work together with. They work really well, they're gentle, they don't strip and dry the skin, and so these are the two that I like to use. So they are quite thick already. I've already previously mixed them, but obviously I had to measure all of this stuff off camera, because it's way too complicated to do it all on the scale. It would have taken forever. So I'm going to add these now. Obviously, because they are surfactants, they foam. So you need to be quite careful once you've added them, because your liquid the more you stir, the more bubbles you get on top, and you don't really want bubbles on top of, it does come because it's inevitable, you can't stop it. You know, I try and be as gentle as possible so not to have that problem. So I'm just going to scrape it all out. Okay, so now we have mixed all of this together and it's all nice and dissolved. I'm going to add our essential oil mix, which is what makes it smell so nice. And I've actually put the colorant into this as well, but I'm not sure if the colorant is going to work so lacquer because it doesn't actually dissolve in oil, but it'll dissolve once it gets into the, there we go, it's going pink, once it gets into the water, because obviously our rose jelly is pink because I love pink and it just matches. So I'm just going to dissolve it. It smells so good. Now some essential oils actually thicken up a surfactant, but these two don't, so I actually have to add a special thickener, but I'll do that right at the end. So there we have our nice sort of pinky color. You can see, I don't know if you can see because this is an opaque kind of a jar, but the essential oils actually make it a little bit cloudy because the oils have to obviously dissolve in the water, and that's what that castor oil that I used in the beginning, the hydrogenated castor oil, helps the oils to just emulsify in the water, but it has gone a little bit cloudy. Okay, so that is now pretty much all good to go. All we still need to add is our preservative, obviously, which is the most important thing. And then I'm going to test the pH, and I need to make sure that I can get it to, obviously, the pH level of skin so that it is pH balanced. So I'm going to first add our preservative. Now, we don't use parabens. Some people say that it can cause endocrine problems and breast cancer problems and things like that. Probably that's not so true, but nevertheless, I just prefer to stay away from a controversial preservative like paraben, and I rather use others. There are many others that are available. I used to have to import them from America, but I have luckily managed to find a local supplier for my preservative now. So I'm just going to mix that in. So obviously the preservative is super important. Anything that has water in it needs to have a preservative. If you read something that says it's preservative free, either they're lying or it doesn't have water in it. So like a balm, which only has oils and butters in, or like soaps that we make, like our artisan soaps, the pH level in those is really high and you don't need preservative. But everything else have to have a preservative. Preservatives are very important. Okay, so now I'm going to test my pH of this product, because the one surfactant that I use has got quite a high pH. Now, I don't know if you know about pH levels, but water is neutral and it is 7. Our skin is between 4.5 and 5.5. So when someone says it's pH balanced for your skin, it's normally between 4.5 and 5.5 level. Otherwise, it's either too acidic, which is where your salicylic acids, glycolic acids, and all those come in. Those are like between 3 and 4. Or it's too alkali, which is higher than 7. So we need to make sure. So like I said, the one ingredient that I use is quite acidic. So I normally tend to have to just change it around a bit. So I'm just going to see what this one is. Always just like to test it, and it's also quite interesting just to see. So if I look at this, yeah, it's between 6 and 7, which is too high. So I'm going to add an acid to bring it down a little bit. Now obviously I've already done all my sums because I make this all the time and I know exactly how much of the acid that I need to add. So I add lactic acid to this. So I'm just going to pour it in, and then I'm going to stir it, and then we'll test it again, and then you'll see that it's just changed and gone to the correct acid level. So obviously when we are making things like when I make my glycolic acid toner and I make my salicylic acid shots, those are like 3 and 4. Now obviously you don't want to have something that you're using constantly every day on your skin to clean it at such a low acid level, because it strips the pH level of your skin. It basically gets rid of that natural barrier which protects your skin, and your skin just has to work extra hard to restore its pH level again, and that's just unnecessary strain that you don't need to place on your skin. So that's why we try and stick to pH balanced, especially with cleansers and moisturizers and serums. It's only the acidic stuff that we actually will change. So now we are on literally between 4 and 5, which is perfect. And there we go, pH balance, just like that. There's just one more thing I need to do. So I can leave it like this. There's nothing wrong with it. It's difficult for you to see, but I can show you. It's liquid. It's like pure water. But like this, I need to thicken it. So we add this amazing ingredient, which is really hard to come by. And I have to also get this from American normally. It's called Crowthix. We add this into it. Crowthix is perfect for thickening surfactants because surfactants aren't like other products. It's difficult to thicken them. So, I mean, obviously we're talking about if we're using sulfate-free ingredients and paraben-free ingredients, because some sulfates thicken for you, but obviously I don't use sulfates. So therefore I need something that's considered a little bit more natural and also sulfate free, and this is the perfect thickener. So I've added the Crowthix and I've stirred it quite a bit, and I've kind of just made it, you can see it's already much thicker. So I don't make it too thick, because if I leave this for 24 hours I just leave it to settle, and then it actually gets a little bit thicker, and then we can bottle it the next day. So there we go. That's basically from start to finish how to make a rose jelly. It's really not that difficult. When I started making cosmetics in like 2014, I had no idea that there were labs that you could buy stuff from and just bottle, and that people could make stuff for you. And so I literally learned to make all my stuff from scratch, and that's still what I do. So it's been a great advantage because I'm now able to help other people make their things as well. And I know so much about the pH levels and the preservatives and how all the different ingredients interact with each other purely from trial and error. So there we go. It's been a great learning experience. I hope you enjoyed seeing how we make this, and thank you for watching.